And thank you for coming on time. So we are starting the third session on time. And we welcome and good morning again. Before we get started, just a couple of announcements and updates. I heard some of you have not been receiving my email, right? Both the summary as well as the reminders. If there are any who have not been receiving, please raise your hand. I do not know the reason. Please, give me your email address. Let me check again in case there is any typo or anything in the email list, right? So I will essentially have them corrected. And this morning I sent out a reminder, SMS, right? Is there anyone who didn't get it? Because those who didn't register would not get it. Okay. Oh, you didn't get it, sir? Okay. So let me check. And Sri Karantji, are you here? Karanta? Okay, thanks to him, he sent out a resource, actually, a wonderful resource, www.archive.org. You can find many of Professor M. Hiriyanna's books, including Professor P.V. Karne's, History of Dharma Shastra. All of these books are actually available there for free download. Okay, please make best use of it. www.archive.org. archive.org. Actually, you find a lot of things there that actually confuses you. On the left top side, there is a search button. Just search for either Sanskrit, Dharma, Dharma Shastra, Karne, or Hiriyanna. So you will find very useful links out there. And similarly, for the last two sessions, the audio recorded files have been uploaded. You can download them from the GIPA website. Again, I had sent the links, and the links, there was a typo in them. As a result, people could not download all the files. The typo has since been corrected. The URL is www.gipa- it is not an underscore, minus, that is dash BNG. That is GIPA-Bangalore, BNG.org/PHP. GIPA-BNG/PHP. You can find all the 6 files there. And for those of you who would prefer a proper media, the CD has been burnt outside and on the counter. The CD is already available. You can actually buy it. Okay, and not to reiterate again and again, please keep your mobile phones off. And if you have any questions, please write them down. And like last week, right, so we will have a 10-minute break after the first half, right? And during the break, obviously, just walk around, get freshen up, and then come back. Again, only 10 minutes. We will keep to our time. Thank you. And with that, I request Dr. Ganesh sir to get started with today's session. Thank you.
Om Tat Sat. Good morning. First, we shall have a brief glance at the questions. Mr. Ganesh HS has sent 3 questions. Can you please touch upon Dance of Shiva? I don't know whether he means the famed book of Dr. Anand Kentish Kumar Swami, that is the Dance of Shiva, or the cosmic dance of Shiva, that is the Sapta Tandava, well known in different agamas of Shiva. And it is not in tune with the system of my presentation, though the question is important. This much can be said. It's a profound metaphor, Shiva's dance, cosmic dance, and it is connected with Leela. Leela has no end product. The process is very important, and there is no reason or logic, so-called logic behind that. It's enjoyment. Why are you cheerful means what? I can say, I am happy. What is the nature of happiness? Being composed in myself. We can't give many more explanations for such things. So, the highest expression of joy is symbolized as dance, and in that way it goes on. But it's a separate section by itself, and it may need almost 1 hour to explain all the 7 aspects of cosmic dance of Shiva, whether it is Ananda Tandava, Sandhya Tandava, or Samhara Tandava, Gajasur Samhara Tandava, Tripurasur Samhara Tandava, Nadanta Tandava, like that. So it's a very independent thing. People who are interested can as well refer to the work of Ananda Kumar Swami, or another work on Nataraja by Shivaram Murthy, Dr. M. Shivaram Murthy, Both the books are very useful, and it's a very, very specific question on Indian art, especially connected with dance and iconography. But many people have been fascinated by that. Most of the people who are now interested in, because of the writings of Frijo Capra, I think, there he mentions the cosmic dance of Shiva has parallel to the oscillating nature of universe. It's an analogy. One should not take it as a one-to-one equation. How from one posture to the other posture Shiva moves, and the movement from one posture to other posture itself is a beautiful dance. The movement by itself is very absorbing, and even the course of movement is also a greater absorbing thing. And the postures are called sthanas in Natyasastric terminology, and the course of movement is called karana. And karana is the combination of chari and nrittahasta combined with sthanakas. Chari is the movement of hands, specially referred to hands. Of course, all the portion of the body above the waist, that is nrittahasta, and chari is the movement of legs, and especially that is the movement of legs with the support of the whole of the body below the waist. So the complete movement of the body, that is called karana, and it has to have some sthiti and gati. The combination of that becomes dance. The static and dynamic movements which occur in a beautiful harmonious way, rather the synthesis of them, that is karana. And Shiva's Tandava, that generated 108 karanas, and every karana is a creation in itself, and the course of movement is called sustenance, and the end of the movement is equated to dissolving of that. I don't want to call that destruction, that is laya, that is the withdrawing from that. And this finds a lot of parallel with the paradox of expression of the expression of the universe in the time of Big Bang, that is the oscillating nature of universe from the timeless, spaceless entity to that of time and space, and then withdrawing from that, like that it goes on. But we can't say that we knew Big Bang theory or we developed that theory. This is stupid. We find profound parallels. Even in the writings of DVG, even before Frijo Capra, he says, Nrityavo Brahman Atarajanadu Jagavella, like that. That's a metaphoric expression. A poetic expression should not be taken for scientific discovery or invention. Then can you please touch upon the creation hymn? It is found in the Rigveda Samhita, the Dashama Mandala. We have many, Vishwagarbha Sukta, Hiranyagarbha Sukta, or Vishwakarma Sukta, Purusha Sukta, and Nasadi Sukta, like that. Perhaps he may be referring to the Nasadi or Purusha Sukta, I don't know, because the translations are very many. I don't know about the exact nature of that, but essentially connected with the Rigvedic hymns on creation. I will be doing a bit of justice to it when I take up the Vedas. The only problem is the constraint of time. Within these available 4 days, we have to complete many things. I will certainly do that. And those who are interested in a greater detail, they can, if they know Kannada, they can refer to 2 of my CDs available here itself. One is on the Veda Mantra Parichaya, a 15-hour lecture, specially devoted to some of the main hymns of the 4 Vedas. And then the other one, of course, that is the Introduction to Indian Culture, that is Bharatiya Samskritiya Moola Tattvagalu in Kannada. There I have devoted separate section in Veda there also. And it's always better to go to books. Then you have to go to the books, the translations at least. There are many available. Then opinion about Vedic mathematics. Vedic mathematics is not the mathematics found in the Vedas. I am very specific. I have greatest regards for Sri Bharati Krishna Tirtha Swamiji. I revere him. But that is not found in the Vedas. I am Ganesh, but that doesn't mean I have a trunk and I have one complete tusk and the other one broken and myself wrote Mahabharata. No, nothing. It's my name. So Vedic mathematics is a name, rather a brand name now. The great Swamiji, in all his humility, with all his humility, wanted to attribute his invention, his learning, his wonderful creation to the Vedic source. Because in our tradition, we don't claim copyright, we don't want to show supremacy, and so all that credit he gave to Veda, that's all. The Nikhilam or Ekadikena Purvena, such equations are nowhere found. And in the Vedic mathematics introduction, it is written that it is the Khila of Atharva. Veda is Ananta. Ananta vai Vedaha, so Yajurveda says. In that sense, all knowledge is Vedic. Infinite is the nature of Veda, means what? Ananta vai Vedaha. In that sense, Vedic mathematics is Vedic. But as far as the available Vedic texts, Rigyaja, Sama, Atharva, Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka, nowhere we find the sutras. It's neither the Vedic language, it has nor the Vedic swara pattern, nothing. It's in beautiful Sanskrit, very well following the nature of sutras, the Vedangas. But it's very good. It's a wonderful way of easy computation. But I don't have a authoritative say on that, for I am not a mathematician. But having taken the opinions of many erudite scholars in that area of mathematics, who are much sympathetic to Indian mathematics and other things and well initiated into Sanskrit. For example, Professor Bhanumurthy of Chennai was the former director of Srinivasa Ramanujam Institute of Mathematics. He has written a book on Indian mathematics, and I know him personally well also. He has said it's one of the beautiful methods of easy computation, and it has nothing like a great research or path-breaking discovery in opening new vistas in mathematics. This is not to insult or denigrate the contribution of Swamiji. It's a wonderful tool. But it is no way connected with opening newer dimensions of learning in mathematics. That's what Professor Bhanumurthy said. And that is so many other professors of mathematics too feel. But it's very good to learn, especially for school children. And then, what is your views on Sikhism? Sikhism is essentially Hinduism, because its core philosophy is Advaitic in nature. I have gone through Granth Sahib, and many portions of Granth Sahib are culled out directly from Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, Jayadevas, Gita Govinda, and others. They say that it has taken some from Islam. Whether the devotion or the Ishvaropasana, Sagunopasana, whatever you say, worshipping quantified forms of God and other things, the qualified nature of God, all these things are no different things. They are not alien to Indian culture and in Hindu philosophy. And in that sense, Sikhism has nothing philosophically new. Social reformations and changes may be here and there. Social thing is a very, very temporal one. That is so with the Veerashaiva also. They say it's a new religion and all. It is stupid, utter stupid. Nothing is new in that sense. Social orders are different. Nowadays, after the Indian independence, we have a different social order. Constitution has given some other social order. It's no more the Manu or Yajnavalkya or Parashara or Gautama or Apastamba or Ashvalayana social order. It's a different one. Can we say that we have been changed to something and we are no more Hindus? So, taking social order and blowing up that and taking it to certain cosmic dimensions, so-called cosmic dimensions, it's unfound. It has no logic. In that sense, Sikhism has certain changes in form, the two peripheral, with the worshipping the book. Granth Sahib, having no form. Book, is it not a form? If vision, sight is a form, that which catches the eye, that is form, then sound, is it not form? Touch, is it not form? Smell, is it not form? Taste, is it not form? Anything which is tangible by the senses has form. The nature of form may be different, but it's all form. In Islam and all, in Christianity, what they say, the Semitic religions, idolatry is bad, it is sin rather. One should not erect a graven image of the god like that. It is said in the 10 Commandments itself. But can we call Jehovah or Allah or whatever? If the sight is inferior, can sound be superior? If sight is inferior, why they should have the eyes? Shall I pierce their eyes and make them blind? How stupid it is. And so anything which is tangible by the sense organs, including the mind, the upper organ, the internal organ as we call, it is all savikalpa, it is saguna. That which can be comprehended is saguna. That which cannot be comprehended, that can only be experienced, and that is nirguna. In that sense, whether the Islamic God has form or not is saguna. And whether Christian God, and so also worshipping Granth Sahib is also worshipping the image. The image is in the form of book. So image in the form of cross, or image in the form of a bald wall. Why they need the wall in the Eid Maidan, Eidgah Maidans and other things? Again, is it not the representation of form? We should not be so touchy about the form. One should never find any problem with the aspects of nirguna and saguna. It's again something like the wonderful paradox between matter and energy. So we have to look at it. And in that sense, Sikhism has nothing unique or something which is entirely opposed to Sanatana Dharma in principle and essence. It has nothing new to offer as philosophy. Practices, they change. And here I should bring out one unique feature, what is profoundly emphasized by Shankara in his works. Vastutantra and Kartrutantra or Purushatantra. Vastutantra means the absolute reality, which never changes according to the whims and fancies of the people, society, space, time and all. Purushatantra or Kartrutantra, that depends upon the whims and fancies of the world and the individuals. So all the rituals, the social, cultural and political structures, they are all nothing but Purusha or Kartrutantras. And Vastutantra is Satchidananda, the absolute. So the ritual, the religion, the karmakanda, these aspects, they entirely depend upon the spatio-temporal constraints and they change accordingly. And hence, the Kartrutantra of Sikhism is different, but the Vastutantra is one and the same. So even the Virashaiva of Karnataka, the Lingayata or whatever they say, it is that. Having different social orders has nothing to do with philosophy. What is the purpose of philosophy? Philosophy has to answer 5 questions. The most basic 5 questions. One is the nature of the soul or the individual, and the nature of the world, animate and inanimate, living or non-living. And then third, the nature of God, whether he or she is there or not, if so, how it is or she is or he is. That discussion is the third one. And the fourth one is the nature of bondage or suffering or pain. All the questions behind the problems of birth, death, agony, and all these things. And then finally, how to come out of that. If there is any possible way of going beyond that or coming out of it. These are the 5 questions which any philosophy has to answer. Accept these questions, analyze, answer, dismiss some entities. If so, what is the logic behind that dismissal? These things have to be inquired. In Sanskrit, we call Jiva, that is the nature of the individual and its nature. Jiva Swarupa, Jagat Swarupa, the nature of the world. Ishvara Swarupa, nature of God. And then Bandha Swarupa, nature of bondage. Bondage is all the sorrow. And then Moksha, the liberation. All these 5. Here society nowhere comes. It is all secondary, tertiary products, byproducts. Unfortunately, nowadays, sociology has taken such an undue upper hand over philosophy. It's all because of the evil conspiracy of communism and so-called humanism. And people who have pertinence and prudence and courageous enough, they should come out with critical canons against this thing, and they have to rationally dismiss the claims of sociology. Well, so in that sense, I am not denigrating Sikhism or anything. In intrinsic nature, Sikhism is Sanatana Dharma. The peripheral things, to define it from the classical Indian viewpoint, it is the timely Kshatra expression of Sanatana Dharma, that's all. Especially if you look at the Khalsa movement, one can very easily understand. And the main features, the Pancha Kakaras, the Kada, Kesh, Kang, Kacha, and other things, they are connected with the form. They can change. Just because a person is not having the tuft shikha, including me, can anybody say we are not Hindus? If anybody says that I am not Hindu just because I don't have a shikha, I will not accept that. I can show from the Vedic references that shikha is not an essential feature of Sanatana Dharma at any time, including the sutras. I can show. So these are very, very superficial aspects. And trying to say that it is the synthesis of Islam is an insult to Sikhism, because Sikhism has found its strong and profoundly original and sublime roots in Sanatana Dharma, and Islam is very insignificant in profundity and loftiness when compared to Sanatana Dharma. We can as well include Islam also, no problem. We can very easily define Islam within the frames of Sanatana Dharma. For that matter, Christianity, any religion also, within the base of Sanatana Dharma, especially connecting with the Vastu Tantra and Kartar Tantra. But some of the pronounced practices of that, they should be taken to task. They should be critically analyzed. In basic philosophy, we can as well say it is another Ishvara Mata. It's theological sect, like Shaiva, Vaishnava, Shakta, and other things. It is also a sect like that. In that sense only, here and there we find feeble summarizing of Islam, good or bad, in our Puranas. For example, in the Bhavishya Purana, Bhavishottara Purana, and some of the Adhika Pathas, that the Pathantaras or interpolations, we do find references to Islam. And that has been misused, rather misquoted by people like Zakir Naik. Well, it's a different discussion altogether. Then the question sent by Srimati Usha Shetty, then Srimati Nivedita, what is meant by holistic approach? What does spiritual approach mean, and how is it different from scientific approach? How to define philosophy? How important are the words in a common man's life? These words in a common man's life. Very good question. Yes, holistic, spiritual, and scientific. These are some of the words which I am using repeatedly, so it needs clarification. But I have already told I am using an alien tongue. And even I had mentioned that my basic degree is in engineering, Bachelor of Engineering, bad at everything, especially in English. And English is such a language, at least for me, some of the words cannot be well connotated. For example, you just take the word spirit itself, spirituality. I have to narrate an anecdote also. Recently, Dr. Padma Subramanian's performance was arranged in Bangalore. I had been there last Friday, and one of my dance friend was also present, and the show went on, and after that she made a very, very prudent remark. Ganesh sir, are you an atheist? Many people may think so, and many more people may think I am atheist. I didn't know what to answer. Yes or no. If I say yes, it may be wrong. If I say no, it may be much more blunderous thing. For we don't have proper words to express our Sanatana Dharmic feelings in English. Any language is product of culture, of course, especially these technical terms connected with philosophy, spirituality, and other things. Starting from spirituality, I wanted to say that I'm essentially a spiritualist, but to say that it's again another problem. For spirit means not in the sense what we use. I wanted to say spirit means adhyatmika. Adhyatma is spirit. Adhyatmika. Many people say adhyatma, it is wrong. Adhyatma and adhyatmika. Atma means the very nature of one's own self. S capital self. Atma. Something connected with is adhyatma. And any discussion, everything goes on with this connection that is called adhyatmika. Atmanam adhikritya adhyatman. Tad adhikritya yadyat kriyate tad sarvam adhyatmikam, like that. So, spirit is not the right word for Atma. Atma means just the very nature of existence. Satchit Ananda is the very nature of Atman. That's all. But in English, especially in the background of Christianity and other things, spirit includes a lot of mysticism and so many other things. Spirits, they entirely mean other thing. These are all the problems connected with spirituality. That is the problem of that wretched language. And I am such a poor person, I am cornered to use such words. Again and again, if I start using adhyatmika, people may feel confused, thinking that they know what is meant by spirituality in this connotation I am using. Wherever I use spirituality, it's in the purest of pure Vedantic context of Adhyatma and Adhyatmika, that is Satchidananda. That's all, nothing more than that. Anything connected with absolute existence, absolute awareness, and absolute bliss. Then, holistic means this itself taking into account the other Adibhautika, Adidaivika, and Adhiyajniya aspects also. Adibhautika, Bhuta means physical, Bhusattayam, existential. Adibhautika, existential. Adhidaivika, that is theological. And then Adhiyajniya means connected with the rituals, sharing, practice, and other things. So all these things put together, I am saying, and again, it has to be taken from both the ends of head and heart, society and polity, art and technology. All these are included in understanding a thing, and that I meant by holistic. And scientific approach. Scientific approach here I essentially mean by standing to the test of reason. Every learning has a logic, and every logic should follow one track, and ultimately it has to come to one position, that is, where is the proof? Logic needs certain proofs. All logic is nothing but verifying our experience with reference to a proof. But in India, we have developed a special logic that is called Shrauta Tarka, in the words of Shankara. In logic, generally what happens, inference comes first and then analyzing. But here, experience comes first and then analyzing. To give an example, at a distance we have smoke. Immediately we infer that there is fire. This is the logic of inference. I have not felt, I have not experienced fire, yet I am saying that this is the nature of inferential logic, and logic is essentially inferential in nature. Anumana, what we call in Sanskrit. But here in India, we have the other logic also. Though we have this type of logic, inferential logic, we have experiential logic. That is Shrauta Tarka. In my sound sleep, I had no distinction of space and time. I had no botheration of gender or nationality or whatever and whatever. So no differences existed. Apart from my bliss, I had nothing, that I have experienced, I am recollecting that. And so I am now making a logic. There is nothing. If I say it is not the inferential logic, in inference what happens? Direct perception is partial. I am looking at the smoke and then inferring the fire. So, perception is partial. But this type of Shrauta Tarka, experience is complete, and this experience is not perception. I didn't saw my sleep, I didn't smelt my sleep, I didn't even heard my sleep, I didn't even thought my sleep, I didn't even tasted my sleep, I didn't even breathed my sleep, I didn't even touched my sleep. In spite of all that, I have experienced that. So this is called Atindriyanubhava. Atindriya means beyond sense organs, means you need not take anything esoteric. It's as good as so commonest as this, as common as this. Sound sleep is not experienced by any sense organs, but the bliss of sound sleep is there. Unlike taste, unlike touch and other things, they are experienced by different sense organs. But here, no sense organ, and yet I have experienced, and the freshness is there, all that is there. So this, from taking that as the reference, analyzing everything, and this is called Shrauta Tarka or Purna Tarka. I rely on this. Even the scientific experience has to be taken and analyzed with reference to this. Hence, the so-called inferential logic predominantly present in science will also be subordinated to this. This is the holistic understanding. Means I need no proof for my existence. This is Swatah Pramanya. Before this session, some friend was asking about the nature of Veda, the origin of Veda, Apaurushaya, that is superhuman or non-human, or the divine origin of the Veda, or the human origin of the Veda, and all that. For all these things, we have to go to this. For my existence, I don't need any proof. I assume that and go. All our logic should end there. And where the logic ends, there philosophy should start. The Adhyatma should start, and then start analyzing the rest. And that's why the first sutra of Indian logic is Pramanaya Namaha. Salutations to proofs. This is how Gautama Nyaya Sutra starts. But the Vedantic dictum is Pravatre Namaha. Salutations to the person, to the entity which analyzes the proof. Because I cannot furnish any proof to my existence. In Vyavahara it happens, in world, bring living certificate that you live. So I may need such external appendages and then external validations for my existence. But in real sense I will not. Even that is also based on that. This is proved because of me. I say that this is my life certificate. Anybody cannot take that and say that this is his. So I have to validate even my life certificate. So that problem is there. From that entity, the experience beyond space and time, whatever we analyze, that I call that as scientific inquiry. And this is Purna Tarka or Shrauta Tarka or complete logic or L capital logic. So having spirituality or scientific approach or holistic approach in these connotations, I am going to talk, and I am never going to deviate from that. I will not change my definitions. Well, your spirit of validation through experience, Satchidananda, is the bedrock of Indian culture, as you say. Then what is the place of scientific inquiry? If there is any difference between the two, please also comment on how a society like India can harmonize science and religion. Bharat, very good question. Criticality is no way coming to hamper the approach of spirit, hamper the approach of emotion. I have to read a passage from a recent book which I read, book of Professor Illa Ravi, Foundations of Indian Ethics, about criticality and rationality. A passage I shall read. Most of the scholars, whenever they analyze a system, are prone to pass a quick judgment concerning its rationality. In most of the cases, the idea of rationality which they apply as paradigm to the system in hand is mostly a product of the modern scientific worldview. They think rationality as a standard with which we can measure and judge whether a system is valid or not. If it falls short of the standard, it is superstitious, and if it comes near to our standard, it is acceptable. Therefore, when we look at any system, especially an ancient one, with this attitude, we make a fundamental mistake. We forget that rationality is a social product and that depends for its validity on the cultural backdrop in which we operate. Again, reason is not a free-floating phenomenon but relative to a system. It's not absolutely system free so that we can have a universal standard of rationality. It is conditioned by social epoch. This position should not be mistaken as denying any fundamental value for reason. The point intended, however, is that a system should not be outrightly rejected by branding it irrational without judging its intrinsic merit in terms of its own coherence. Foundations of Indian Ethics, Illa Ravi, page 8 to 9. Here he has given beautiful approach. This is what we need. Science, with all its achievement, is unable to say what is consciousness. It can say so many things about sugar, but not sweetness. It can say so many things about properties of matter, but not what is matter. Do you have any books on matter? You have properties of matter. The guna and guni, the property and the thing which has, that they are not one and the same. They are inseparable. In Indian logic, we call that as samavaya sambandha. But there is certainly an amount of difference that is there. And what is the difference? It's very difficult to say. Very difficult, indescribable. These are some of the problems which science is still facing. When that is the case, scientific inquiry is not the ultimate solution. Often and often we know human being, he is ultimately carried away by emotions and not by reasons. This is a proven fact. When that being the case, scientific inquiry, in the name of scientific inquiry, we can't dismiss the other thing. But at the same time, we do have certain validation. We have to see to it. These problems, they come only at the level of Vastu Tantra, Purusha Tantra or Kartra Tantra, not at the level of Vastu Tantra. Regarding the Satchidananda nature of Atman, or regarding the basic concepts like Purushartha or Yajna, Dana and Tapas, we don't have any such problems. But when it comes to social practices, when it comes to cultural practices, when it comes to political practices, we have certain problems. And hence the problem is temporal in nature. It is not eternal. If at all eternal, it is only ignorance that is eternal. The avidya that is eternal, nothing else. And that cannot be eradicated. If avidya has to be eradicated universally, the universe has to be eradicated, for universe is the product of ignorance. See, when one and all will be equal, only in the great deluge, pralaya, that's all. So equality is a spirit. Equality is a feeling. It is not an entity of reality. I discussed all these things earlier, and hence we have to make an honest attempt to rationalize the things, and in rationalizing things we'll be losing so many varieties also. That's why ultimately it comes to acting as per the situation demands. So we have to act as per the situation, and one final conclusive statement cannot be given, one conclusive dictum cannot be branded. That is always impossible. So, scientific inquiry is essential, but we should not be too crazy of it. To give an example, any practice at any time, some practices may be very, very wrong. Like cannibalism, human being eating another human being. Well, if it is wrong, is it right to eat other animals? Well, even that is wrong if I say. Is it right to eat vegetables? Even there we have himsa. Then where to stop? Where there is lesser degree of himsa, lesser degree of violence, like that we say. How to? For that, scientifically we can arrive at one solution, rather at least one compromise. We cannot say what is punya and what is papa. For papa we have beautiful English word sin. For punya we don't have. English has no punya. Can we call virtue? Then what is guna? What is punya? Can anybody? My friend Ranganath Prasad, very well known for his erudition in English language, and any other person, or my other friend Hari Ravi Kumar. Of course, English language itself has that paucity. It's very difficult to say what is punya. But scientifically, how we can arrive at it? Is it possible, or at least a convincing answer? As Illa Ravi puts it, every rational inquiry is conditioned by the contemporary world, contemporary society. That is true. Our rationality is product of our society. It's not created in vacuum. When we see like that, I think I can put it, anything which contributes more to entropy is papa and lesser to entropy is punya. Being a student of mechanical engineering, especially loving thermodynamics, classical thermodynamics and the philosophy in it, I have thought since many years, and I feel that any action of ours will contribute to entropy. The whole world is heading towards heat death. That is known. Even my speech is doing the same, contributing to entropy. So we are all contributing, even in our breathing we are contributing. So when that is the case, we cannot avoid heat death. We can only postpone. To postpone lesser consumerism. So we know some materials are high energy material and some other are low energy. And all non-vegetarian practice demands higher energy from the society. And to that extent, higher processing means many links in a joint means that amount of inefficiency in energy transmission. In every joint we have loss of energy because of transmission, because of wear and tear and other things. We all know. When there are too many transformers, when there are too many links in a frame, we do have energy loss. Like that, food, the vegetable food is taken by the animals, and from the animals means naturally we have more joints and links, and hence we have energy loss. Energy loss means unaccountability of energy loss, and that contributing to entropy. Any basic student of science will be knowing this. So that way if we see, I think science has so much of sense. This is how we can use science for inquiry. This is one way. And the other one is, example, caste system. Whether it was good or bad, today it has no meaning. It would have had greater meaning before many centuries or so. We don't know. See, no system exists without the consent of the world. At least it would have benefited. We can't blame them completely that everything was bad, or we can't just praise that everything was good. When that being the case, there may be some good points behind that, and so people accepted it. However, nowadays, it has lost much of its meaning. Hence, we know that just by birth, human beings have no special differences. And it is quoted beautifully in Bhavishya Purana. Again, I am not quoting just to get support from a textual authority. What I am saying, such views were also in existence. In Bhavishya Purana, it is said Jati, the name, attributed to caste is not something like Ashvajati, Gajajati, Vrukshajati, or Hamsajati like that. It is not connected with species. These castes are not connected with such meaning. They are only meant as classification for the workability, like that in the Bhavishya Purana it is given. Means people had thought, we can't have a Brahmin species, Kshatriya species, Shudra species, or a potter species, or blacksmith species, like that we cannot have. Like that. And then we know a baby from Ireland, if it is taken and nurtured in Kerala, it will pick up Malayalam. The Irish language is not in its genes. Only the inbuilt linguistic skill is in the genes, and not any specific language. Like that, inbuilt human feelings and intelligence or criticality that may be in genes, but not these peripheral things. So, when these have not entered into gene, at least as my knowledge goes, it has not yet proved so. We can take science as the reference and say that science has no support to these divisions. Only the social and economic orders may have certain support, and nowadays they too are withering out, and so there is no problem in keeping this aside. Like that, we can go into scientific inquiry. And again, coming to another favorite question, like the divine origin of the Vedas. Vedas are Paurusheya or Apurusheya. They are human made or God made. Such thing God made and the eternal existence of a holy book is seen in every religion, not just unique to Sanatana Dharma. It is so in Bible, that is the Christian religion, and even in all the other Semitic religions also. And even the Buddhists and the Jains, they do accept a holy scripture like that. Though Jains say they are Nirgranthis and Buddhists they say that they are Shunyavadins, they accept the teachings of Buddha as the eternal source of knowledge. The Tripitakas, Buddha Vachanam Pramanam, Avachanam Buddha Vachanam. Buddha said nothing, yet he said so many things. That I can understand and feel, and completely, I need not laugh at it, I will respect. Because in the real sense, Buddha said nothing. Can very easily imbibe the spirit of it. But we have Tripitakas, of them Vinaya Pitaka is completely teachings of Buddha. And in the Sutta Pitaka we have the teachings as well as acts of Buddha. And the compilation Abhidhamma Pitaka is taken, the select portions taken from Vinaya and Sutta. So these are the three Pitakas we have. And in the Jain tradition we have 14 Shrutas. When Shrutis are 4 in number in Sanatana Dharma, Jains say that we have 14 Shrutas. We can have thousands also. It doesn't matter. Whether it is Kunda Kundacharya, or Samanta Bhadracharya, or the Yelacharya, all those things, they are taken as sacred works. And even the Granth Sahib, the 6. Well, in all these things, we forget one thing. It is a linguistic expression. Any expression is temporal in nature. And this has been long ago thought over in our tradition. The great Panini, in his Vyakarana Sutras, aphorisms of grammar, he says in the 4th chapter, 4th Adhyaya, he gives one sutra, and according to the sutra, we have in the commentary of Patanjali and also in the sub-commentaries of Kayyata, and then Nagesha Bhatta Pradeepa and Udyota, Mahabhashya Pradeepa and Mahabhashya Udyota, Tena Proktam, that is the sutra. It is clearly said by Patanjali and especially made much more clear by Nagesha Bhatta, perhaps the final authority on Indian grammar and this philosophy of Indian grammar, says the Vedas are eternal with reference to their meaning, but not with the reference to their structure. The word order of the Veda is temporal. The Anvaya of the Vedas is temporal, means the expression. It's a very beautiful euphemism. The Padanupurvi, Anupurvi Nityatva is not there for the Veda, only in the Artha Nityatva. Hiriyana in his outlines of philosophy is clearly given that. And DVG, while writing about Hiriyana and also about Hiriyana's brother, Sir M.N. Krishna Rao, he who built this park, M.N. Krishna Rao Park, he has clearly referred to this. And it is unquestionable. I think it is the most convenient and pertinent way of looking at the Vedas. When the spirit of Vedas is eternal, but the structure of Vedas is temporal. Last time I told about that Veda in singular is spirit eternal, and Veda in plural, it is relative. It has that temporality when one cannot ignore that. The very root vid jnane, sattayam vidyate jnane, vetti vinte vicharane, vindate, vindati prapto shen luksnam shrestidam kramat. Like that we have the Vyakarana Karika. Accordingly, the meaning is existence, awareness, analysis, attainment, all are the meanings of vid and vidl. Existence, we have sat. Awareness, we have chit. Analysis is also there. Attainment means we have ananda. Ananda is experience, and experience is attainment. So the Satchidananda nature of Veda is eternal. It is something like gravitational force existed even before Newton and exists as long as any matter is in existence. But Newton revealing that in a certain mathematical form is temporal in nature. And if all the works on Newton's law of gravitation, they are lost, and if all the people who know that if they are lost, then this particular law is unattainable. But yet, the law in the cosmic order remains, but some other Newton or some other Teuton or somebody may come in future and he may reveal that. That is there. And his way of expressing may be in different language. Newton did it in Latin, and some other person may do in some other language. And the mathematical pattern may be different. See, we know some of the theorems are represented long ago in India, taking the algebraic aspect, not the geometrical aspect. What the Euclid did from the geometrical aspect, our Bodhayana and others did from the algebraic aspect. Like that, in mathematics itself, different languages are used, different dialects are used. The sarigama of Indian music is something different in utterance in the Western music, but the tonal quality is the same. That is so. That can always happen. And in that sense, the Vedic apaurushayatva has to be considered. But the orthodox school is not for this. They take in the literal sense. They go by the letter, not by the spirit. So the problem exists. But scientific inquiry clearly says one has to go by the spirit, not by the letter. And this is in tune with the Vedantic viewpoint also. The beauty of Sanatana Dharma is it finds least problem in accepting the scientific inquiry, for it is much more profounder and magnanimous than the physical scientific inquiry. For it inquires the other aspects of scientific inquiry also, of the humanities, of the fine arts, of other softer sciences like medicine and others, all are included. But modern days generally scientific inquiry means we are concentrating on physics. In that sense, even the biologists, they are becoming physicists. If you take the recent work of Ramachandran, V.R. Ramachandran, The Telltale Brain, that book, before few months I read it, he finally attributes to the matter. So, when biologists, they hand over their keys to physicists, but physicists still they are in doldrums, they say. Yet we have to reconcile so many things, we have our own confusions, we have not much of clarity. Like that, they say. Person like Feynman, in spite of all his criticality, he has revealed such things within this frame, within certain limitations. Like that, they speak when they are making all sorts of insurances, when they are putting all sorts of disclaimers before making a statement. We should know the limitations of so-called scientific inquiry, completely based on physicality of it. I told, experience cannot be answered, cannot be analyzed by science. Dandin, in his work Kavya Darsha, says honey, milk, sugar, jaggery, and then fruits, all are sweet. But which sort of sweet, even Brahma cannot say. It's very difficult. The shades of experiences are so difficult to analyze. Coffee is served. This morning coffee was served. For me, it had a bit of sweetness more than what I expected. For every day I take sugarless coffee. It's my habit to take sugarless coffee. I have developed taste for it. And for my tongue, the sweetness is pronounced. But for somebody, sweetness may be lesser. So subjective is the experience, and the subjectivity of experience is recognized by science, but not analyzed. Unable to analyze. Very difficult. So these are the problems. Well, the beauty of science and the beauty of Vedanta is we endorse problems, we accept problems. Yes, there are problems. But the person who argues by letter, he will not. They want to settle down everything. They want to settle the whole universe. It's impossible. It's impossible. For the very nature of world is that indescribability. It's the words to describe the world, the words which are used to describe the world, the Sanskrit words for that matter, prapancha, jagat, what it means? Ever expansive, pachi vistare, that is the dhatu. Prapanchate, always expanding means so many newer dimensions are included, and so you can't define. Define means delimiting, finite. Limitation is impossible. So many things are included, and we know that the ever-expanding nature of universe in science also. Again, I am not saying that just by the word prapancha we knew expanding nature of universe. No. But I am bringing parallels. Our ancestors had a feel for it, had an awareness of such things. And Jagat, Gato, that which is dynamic, that which always moves, all these things are revealing the indescribability of the world. And so within that we have to work out a tangible, a working definition, a working pattern, that's all, not more than that. I had described that also last time. Well, with these question and answers, why I took so much of time to answer these questions? Because these are again coming to the fundamental issues. So let me make them much more clearer. Now we shall go back to the 18 Vidyasthanas, Ashtadasha Vidyasthana. I had said something regarding the 4 Vedas, Rig, Yajus, Sama and Atharva. And then the Upavedas,